final approval from Iran's supreme leader. And here with us now to discuss is former U.S. Navy commander and former FBI special agent Rich Kolko. Thank you very much for being here today, sir.
Thank you, Laura.
All right. So overnight, U.S. forces shot down multiple Iranian attack drones headed towards the strait, as we talked about, even as both sides claim progress with a peace deal is at hand. But if Iran keeps threatening shipping in the strait, do we think that that's going to jeopardize the agreement? Because it sure seems like it could.
It certainly could. There's about 2,000 ships stuck there. And on a good day, they can transit about 100, maybe 125. So it'll take weeks, if not months, to clear out the strait. And any shooting coming from either side is going to slow that down because none of the insurance companies are going to let their ships transit that small piece of waterway there. Dangerous for everybody. But I think there's just been too much negotiation going on via social media. These people need to get themselves into a room, talk this out, resolve the issues, and then come out and sign the piece of paper.
Yeah, and the Trump administration says the deal is nearly complete after more than 100 days of conflict. Hard to imagine it has been going on that long. And former Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene telling NewsNation Prime that many Americans are waiting for proof before they believe a deal is real. Let's listen to that.
The president has said, I think, approximately 38 or 39 times before that he has a deal with Iran. I think for many of us, we'll believe the deal when we see it actually inked and signatures signed. So what I hear from everyone I talk to is they'll believe it when they see it.
Not sure if that's how you feel, but does this moment feel different from the many other times we've heard a deal may be close?
Well, it's both. I do feel exactly what she said. The social media negotiation is problematic. But now we have the leader of Pakistan and the leaders of Iran actually saying something in public about a deal being close. So I think that means we're at least on the right path. But the deal is an MOU, a memorandum of understanding. It's not a permanent treaty. It's not a permanent ceasefire. So it just buys another 60 days to start negotiations. So I think that'll probably keep our military in location, in place, on edge. And it's just going to be a complex time until they actually resolve this, sign it, and have the ability to move forward.
Yeah, and Trump says that Iran's leaders have signed off on the deal, which would require Iran to give up its highly enriched uranium. Of course, that is the center of all this, and accept international inspections and for the strait to be reopened. Let's listen to that.
The whole Middle East is happy, and long beyond the Middle East, the strait will open as soon as we have it signed. It'll be soon, maybe this weekend.
And has the Supreme Leader approved this deal, sir?
I understand the answer is yes.
Okay, so what do you think finally brought Tehran to the table?
Well, I think Tehran's economy is crashing. I think the people don't have food. The inflation's out of control. They're losing hundreds of billions of dollars. It's unsustainable for them as a country. I'm not sure their leadership cares that much because, in some ways they're winning this war, this social media war, or the war of public opinion. But the people are going to, at some point, they've had enough, and they've got to take care of their people at some point.
Trump has also said that Iran has agreed to give up its pursuit of a nuclear weapon. Let's listen here.
I don't know if you heard, but we ended the war with Iran today, and they have agreed never to have a nuclear weapon, something that we insisted on. That was the whole purpose. That was 95% of it, and they've done it in the most powerful way you can do it.
The U.S. also plans to keep Iran's frozen assets restricted until it meets its commitments on that. So I don't know, as you take a look at all of it on the table, is that enough pressure to guarantee compliance?
Well, compliance will have to be verified. We know that. But throughout this entire ordeal, the president has clearly said the two non-negotiable things are Strait of Hormuz has to be open and no nuclear weapon. I know there's another 10 or 12 items that remain on that list. Those can get resolved over time. Those are not the ones that are going to stop this from getting signed. But there's no way that the U.S. can move forward without those two items being fully in agreement with what the U.S. goals are here.
Yeah, and let's also talk about the naval blockade, because Trump says the strait will remain in place. All of that will remain in place until a deal is signed. And reports say U.S. Air Force planes have left for Europe ahead of a possible signing ceremony. I mean, that's how close it appears we are. But Gulf Oil's Tom Kloza says shipping risks may not disappear immediately.
I think there's a lot of reasons to be skeptical about this deal. I mean, it's a memorandum of understanding. The strait might reopen later this month or early in July. We're still in trouble. We're still going through the safety nets, and these safety nets aren't going to work if we get to July and August.
It feels like, all parties are circling around. Everybody is anxious for this deal. But if a deal is signed, how quickly do you think traffic through the strait could return to normal? You have this incredible experience you bring to this conversation. What kind of timetable are we talking about?
Well, I think there's still a concern. There's mines in the strait there. That's a problem. So the U.S. Navy will have to assure that they've been cleared. Iran has the capability to attack ships from their shoreline, so they have to make sure they have complete control of their military or anybody who's got weapons. And I think the big stoppage point is actually the insurance companies of the ships. On a good day, they can transit 100, 125 ships through the area, 2,000 ships. So that's weeks to clear it out, not counting ships that need to come into Carg Island and start loading up with oil. So nothing's going to happen that quickly once they get that green light to start going ahead. So, and I don't see it just being a green light saying, let's move 125 ships a day through the strait. So we are looking at weeks or months before things get back to some semblance of normal. And that's assuming that we have this electronic signing of this agreement in the next couple of days, as we've heard from the U.S., Iran, and Pakistan.
Right. And speaking of that agreement, Iran has insisted that any agreement must also address the fighting between Hezbollah and Israel. So we've got that as well. But the Prime Minister, Netanyahu, says Israel is not part of these talks. So does that create problems for the real down the road thing we're looking at here?
It sure does. I mean, these are things that are out of control of the teams that are at the negotiating table right now. I don't think Israel's at the table sitting there with the U.S. And Iran. And obviously the table is theoretical. I assume they're doing this over the phone or over some other transmission lines. But until Israel comes on board and participates, you can see Iran not fully agreeing to whatever is eventually signed as an MOU. And don't forget, that's only supposed to be a 60-day MOU. So we'll have to wait and see what happens during those 60 days to see if this can be a much longer-term peace agreement. But it has to be. I mean, look at the entire U.S. And world economy. It's on the brink because of what's happening in this small part of the world here. And until the shooting stops and the peace is reached, it's going to be a problem, and a very, very expensive and dangerous problem.
Yeah, so much is on the line. I really appreciate you coming on the show. Former U.S. Navy commander and former FBI Special Agent Rich Kolko, thank you very much.
Thank you, Laura.
Thank you. And also the world.